This Mexico City DFS Picks 2025 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost, the bank account built for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with promo code SGPN and get a free Refs Are Terrorists t-shirt. Claim your shirt at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/refs.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting until I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and today we wrap up the week with our DFS episode 4, the first ever NASCAR Cup Series race, and the umpteenth million, however, and not in a long time, Xfinity Series race in Mexico City at the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez. Cody, buddy, happy Friday, first and foremost, the 13th, and welcome to the DFS.
Happy Friday the 13th, Rod. That's always exciting, I suppose. And yeah, DFS talk, sneaking some Xfinity back in there. I like it. The cars are on the track right now in the Cup Series, starting out practice. Been a little bit rough for a little Carson host of ours. Had some trouble already, Rod. I'm sure you're enjoying that. Kathrine Legge, she's only 3 seconds behind in practice. Get your bets in now, Cousin Danny says. So things are starting off really well for her. So that's great.
I don't take joy. I'm going to continue to say this. I don't take joy in other people's failures. However, I will say that, I'm not surprised by Carson Hocevar having trouble. Again, it's a matter of you can't.
Oh, that's what you took out of that, huh?
Yeah, it is. And so listen, we've got a lot to talk about in DFS world because we are bringing back a fan favorite for this episode. If you didn't listen to the Cup episode, we gave you, and in the Discord, there's been spirited debate all week long about one particular driver. Don't worry, we will talk about her later on in the episode, but yeah, I mean, this is obviously, like we said, the first time that these Cup drivers, many of them, have even seen this area, let alone been on this track, because NASCAR Cup Series has never raced one here. Xfinity Series came here for a while and then stopped, and therefore really none of the active Xfinity drivers left in the field have really ever been. In fact, I don't even know that some of the drivers were born the last time the Xfinity Series was on this track. 2008.
That's quick math. They probably were all born. I don't think we have anybody that's 17 in this race, but many of them were very, very young last time they were here. So, yeah, I mean, Daniel Suarez, I guess, is the only one in the Xfinity Series that have taken a track before. And I don't know about Perez de Lara. He might have been on this track before. I think he's done some of the NASCAR Mexico stuff. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much fresh slate, Rod.
It certainly is. And if you didn't listen to the betting episode, or if you didn't listen to the Xfinity episode, one of the biggest stories out of here, Denny Hamlin not going to be at this race in his number 11 car. Ryan Truex is going to be subbing in for him. We've already started to see all kinds of crazy stuff, like is Ryan Truex going to be the host of Actions Detrimental on Monday because he's filling in for Denny Hamlin there. God, I love the internet sometimes.
That would be pretty funny, actually. That'd be a great way to, that'd be a great way to do that, I guess.
If you're going to sub for him, you might as well sub the whole way through, yeah?
Sub all of it, I guess, right? But yeah, Denny Hamlin is marked as out, $7,100 on the board this week. They've already marked him as out, so do not play him. He will not be in this race. He will not acquire any DraftKings fantasy points. If you're playing other types of fantasy games, I mean, we focus kind of on DFS here, but I'm in all sorts of DFS or all sorts of fantasy games that I play in, the NASCAR Fantasy Live, along with other leagues. Don't use Denny Hamlin this week. Not that you probably should have anyways, but definitely don't use him this week because obviously he will not be racing. Ryan Truex has been added to the DFS pool. He checks in at $6,400.
Still not going to touch him. I'm not. You are not either. Thank God. Okay. Just not big fans of the potential of that 11 car. But we press on. And we press on where you press on. If you like this show, you'll like some of the other ones we've got for you at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And you can find every single one of them along with our free picks and all of the podcasts, including the Stanley Cup podcast, the College Baseball World Series podcast, NBA Finals podcast, all on the SGPN app. Get it wherever you get your apps. Well, Cody, like we said, we are at the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez for the Xfinity race and for the Cup race. Like you said, the schedules had to get changed around a little bit because of just people not being. In fact, what I saw. In fact, I'll talk about one of the guys in a little bit. I loved his tweet about he was like, I haven't had any sleep. I don't know where my luggage is. But, hey, we're here in Mexico. So these guys are in for a very long weekend.
Yeah, and even this first practice session that they're having right now, you might be careful, I guess, a little bit on some of it because the full teams aren't even here. Like multiple drivers, especially in the Trackhouse camp. I think I saw that Daniel Suarez only had 4 of his actual crew members there so far. So nobody to really, tune on the car or do anything. So, that's all been a bit of a deal, bit interesting. And of course they've shifted around the schedule. We talked a lot about that yesterday. So go back and listen to that if you want to kind of hear more on how they've shifted the schedule. All the Xfinity stuff's moved to tomorrow. And then we're not going to talk underdog picks on this, Rod, because they pull their stuff down and change it during practices after practice. So we didn't want to come on here and give you picks. Obviously, practice is going right now, so they wouldn't even be around still. So stay tuned for the YouTube channel. Got 1,000 subscribers over there now, so thank you for that. But stay tuned on that. We'll have some shorts out later this week. Not like shorts, but like YouTube shorts that we'll have out for you with underdog picks on them.
What if I do shorts in my shorts? Is that too meta? Or that's going to lose us subscribers? I'm not even sure what's going to happen there.
Yes. We got to keep going back to the live updates here. Cousin Danny keeping us in the loop. There's only one car slower than Truex in practice so far. Doesn't matter who it is, Rod. I don't know who she might be, but there is one car slower than Ryan Truex thus far. So they might be hanging out near the back quite a bit this weekend.
Cody, you may have to jump. You may have to keep the live chat going because I'm not seeing any chat whatsoever. This almost feels to me a lot like what happened last Friday. Maybe people were chatting and I just didn't see them.
Well,
that's all right.
Been. Do you have the chat?
I have the chat open. Rob? Yeah, I do. But what are you gonna do?
There's been a lot of internet struggles the past couple of days. I know you guys almost had to postpone the back road yesterday because there was some issues. And we're not even streaming to Facebook Live right now. I think Meta's having some issues too. So no. I don't know. I just had to post the YouTube link over there. But so the internet's kind of weird. So yeah. I'll periodically check in on the actual YouTube and make sure we're getting all the comments too.
Good stuff. All right. Well, so this is, of course, like I said, the DFS episode today. We decided to split it up between the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. Yes, Cody. You have a question?
I have a question for the class. One more thing I did want to say. NASCAR has already approved Denny Hamlin's waiver. So we talked yesterday that was not going to be an issue, but it's already approved. Not going to make him sweat it out like Kyle Larson or anything like that. This is pretty cut and dry. Medical waiver. You're granted it. Good to go. So Ricky checking in also in the chat, Rod, over on the X. Things are working over there. Hey, so shout out to Ricky. Hello. Can you see Ricky's comment, Rod?
I cannot see Ricky's comment. I just tried to overlay it. That was not the right move.
Can you see it that way?
Sorry, no, I cannot see it that way. All right, never mind. Sorry, guys. If you're listening on the traditional broadcast, this is not fun for you to go through. But it is the DFS episode. We are, like we said, splitting up between Xfinity and Cup because just like Cody said, we don't want to give you any underdog plays that aren't going to happen. So as we always do, we give you our favorite high price, mid-tier, and low price driver for each slate now. And, of course, it's going to be the Xfinity Series first. Cody, there's a comment that's making you smile over there. What's happening?
I love that I can see the comments. That you can't see the comments. They can say whatever they want to about you.
Yeah,
but your brother checking in, I am notorious, saying, Rod can't hear us? Game on, LOL. So, yeah, that's actually pretty funny. So, yeah, I guess I'll run the control board over here and make sure all the comments get in. But all right, where are we at, Rod? Are we ready for some picks?
I think we are ready for some picks. So we are here at the Xfinity race for the Chilango 150 over here, set for 65 laps around this 2.518 mile road course for 163.670 miles. Yeah, Cody, I mean, again, there's a lot of Cup drivers in this Xfinity Series race, and prices reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just to touch on the entry list, we'll go over it quick. We did yesterday, but just in case you didn't listen to the Xfinity Pick Show yet, make sure you go back and do that. But there is 39 cars entered for this. They will all 39 make this race. Typically, it's 38. They've allowed 39 to run, so you don't have to worry about somebody not qualifying. So everybody in the pool will be in this race. Daniel Suarez is going to be here in the 9 car for JRM. Josh Bilicki's in the 14. Tyrone Gibbs is in the 19. Christopher Bell running the 24 for Sam Hunt. So notable if you're not a Sam Hunt believer. We're not going to talk about him today, but I did talk about him yesterday, and that I think it's going to be a Gibbs car, and I'm not concerned about that. So just want to toss that out there. Austin Green, that's a notable name we talked about yesterday as well. So go back and listen to that. Sage Karam's in the 53, and Andres Perez de Lara making his Xfinity Series debut here at Mexico in the 91 for DGM.
Like I said, a lot of folks to keep an eye on, especially when we're looking at Cup drivers in this one. But, Cody, I think it is high time we give our high-price drivers to this slate.
I agree with you, Rod. So I'm going to start off right to the top of the board, going to Connor Zilich, $11,000. Look, we talked yesterday on the Xfinity episode. He's not worth betting on, in my opinion, because he's minus 110. Loaded field like this, that's tough, that's rough. Too many things can happen. Too many things can go wrong, in my opinion, to bet on it. When it comes to the DFS side of things, though, I think Zilich is probably a must play for the most part. I will caution he's going to be extremely popular. A lot of people are going to play him. And it's one of those things where you're probably going to have to play him to keep up with the chalk, but make sure you're different in some situations and don't play him to get away from him. But if you're, a traditional fantasy game or whatever for Xfinity, I know there's some of those out there. Connor Zilich, a guy you want to be on this week. Roddy has 2 career Xfinity Series starts on 2 career road course starts in the Xfinity Series. That's what I was trying to go for. This Friday brain's getting to me. His average finish. Do you want to guess what his average finish is in those 2 starts, Rod?
2.
It's 1.0.
Wow.
He won Coda earlier this year, 26 laps led in that one. And last year in his actually Xfinity Series debut, he won that race from the pole, led 45 laps. So it's been 2 very strong showings from Connor Zilich. He's kind of the next coming. He's a big deal. Obviously, he's a rookie this year, technically, because he only made 4 starts last year. And he is a minus 110 rookie favorite in a field with 3 Cup cars, 1 from the Gibbs stable, 1 from the JRM stable, yet he's still that type of rookie. And there's a good reason for that, right? Because he is a fucking stud. So I think he's a guy that you need to play this week. You kind of need to watch and be on. But he's been having pretty good luck here lately, too. He's on kind of a stretch. 2nd place finish at Nashville, 2nd place finish at Charlotte. So, had that back injury that he suffered a ways back, missed the Texas race. But he's kind of rebounded from that, had some really good runs here lately. So doesn't seem to be any effects left over from that. Connor Zilich, again, this is kind of where you can split the difference between betting and DFS. Hard to bet on, definitely in play in the DFS world. And he's 2 for 2, being just about perfect, leading 48, 26 laps, winning both of those. I mean, those are very strong DFS days he's had for you so far.
I would not be surprised if he was 100% owned in a ton of most of the tournaments and stuff that you play across, because it's going to be a popular play, and for really good reason. Obviously, if you're doing a multi-entry, you don't want to put everything in there. You do at least want to have 1 or 2 where you're going to differentiate.
Yeah, that's that delicate balance, because If he does hit and you don't have him, well, you're fucked, right? And that's why I think you got to have him a lot. But if something does go wrong and he blows a motor early in the race and suddenly, goes from first to last, doesn't lead any laps, just a bunch of negative points, and 75, 85% of the pool has him, now you're one of the 15, 25% that doesn't. Big time advantage, right? So that's where you have to balance those things out when it comes to the DFS world.
Indeed, and my high-priced driver is one of those guys that I think you can balance it out, and still, if something goes wrong with Connor Zilic, you'll have Justin Allgaier up there at the front of the field. You want to talk about a guy who benefits from all these Cup guys being in this field? Justin Allgaier would not be $9,700 in any other race that he's in for the rest of the season, except for the fact that Daniel Suarez, Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs, and Connor Zilic, obviously the heavy favorites in this one. So that just pushes Justin Allgaier's price down to under $10,000, which, I mean, look, that's a $2,300 savings between Zilic and Justin Allgaier. Think of where you can pick up the slack on that one. Justin Allgaier, we talked about it, one of those guys that's been good on road courses his entire Xfinity Series career. 58 career road course starts, 3 wins, 18 top 5s, 34 top 10 finishes. He's not one for laps led, though. That's the only thing that's a little bit concerning about Justin Allgaier, is what you're really hoping for is that he, starts a little bit and then back into the top 10, moves himself up, and hopefully maybe wins this race, because he's only led 191 laps around road courses in 3,668 total laps in road course races. But I will say this, right? Justin Allgaier is one of those guys that is going to be in the mix. We talked about how good he's been on these road courses, and no matter who's been in the field, right? When you look at some of the top finishers, it's usually like Sheldon Creed's up in the mix, Austin Hill's up in the mix, Sam Mayer's up in the mix, Justin Allgaier's up in the mix. Like, these guys are all usually jockeying around the front for the win, or at least a good solid top 5, top 3 finish. So for me, this is kind of a no-brainer. We don't have a lot of track history to pull from, obviously, here in Mexico, right? It's not as if he's a seasoned veteran on this track, but just the fact that he is a veteran with a lot of wheel time in many different conditions in the Xfinity Series gives me a little hope that he's going to perform well in this instance and in maybe even come away with the win, right? Because a lot of guys may be thrown off, trying too hard. Justin Allgaier is not going to do that. He's going to run a nice, clean race. He is going to try to put keep all 4 fenders on his car and just kind of coast home with a nice finish. And I think that's what you need if you're going to step back from Connor Zilic or some of these other high-priced Cup drivers like Suarez, Bell, or Gibbs. If you're going to fade the top, right there underneath 10,000 at Justin Allgaier is exactly where you need to start. So give me Justin Allgaier, $9,700, my high-price driver.
Yeah, I like this play, and I think that he really has a chance to differentiate you from everybody else. Everybody's going to be cramming in Zilic. Suarez, Bell, Gibbs are all right there above him. Sam Mayer's right in that mix too, and so I think he's going to get overlooked. And if he has the day he's capable of, and we talked about it yesterday, not a guy you want to be fading right now. If he hits for you, which I think he can do, obviously, and he's done before on road courses, could be a huge day and a guy that really kind of sets you apart in a pool where, if the Zilic chalk hits, if the Gibbs Bell type of chalk hits, you're going to need somebody that gets you a little bit different. I think he could be that guy.
I concur, which is why I gave him out. And we're going to give out our favorite mid-tier drivers on the other side of this, but let me step away for just a half a second and tell you guys all about our friends at Edge Boost. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. There's no usage fees. There's no minimums. You can earn cashback rewards and get 100% approval for all of your betting deposits. So go sign up today at edgeboost.bet with promo code SGPN. This is the last week to sign up. Get a free Refs or Terrors t-shirt. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/refs to claim your free shirt. And, of course, for those of you listening to this show, talk to the bosses. Get yourself a Race Officials or Terrors t-shirt. Have yourself some fun in that instance as well. Let's tell you about our friends over at Circa Ultimate Fantasy Football. I know that you absolutely love fantasy football. I love fantasy football. How about drafting on the Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas? Well, they're giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and be treated like VIPs for the entire stay. What are you going to get? A limo ride from the airport? You like that? Okay. How about a $5,000 tab for stadium swim and hotel stay for you and your 11 league mates? Is that not good enough? Well, you're always going to be able to get 15% off at all Circa properties with promo code SGPN15. So go enter that ultimate fantasy football contest for free at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CIRCA. 10 league mates and me, by the way, just in case you're curious. That's what I want. You win that thing, I'll join your league.
Absolutely. Love it, Rod. You know what else I love? Austin Hill, $9,000. I cheated up a little bit in the mid-tier range here because Austin Hill couldn't go anymore without being talked about this weekend. We didn't work him into the betting episode yesterday. It just made it hard to bet on him. The top 10 was way too juiced up. The top 5, I just felt like the number wasn't quite big enough, and I couldn't find another good way to get in on him. But DFS is a great way to get in on him. Much like with Justin Allgaier, where you just made the point, he's going to kind of sit right here at the bottom of this top-tier group, probably get overlooked a little bit. But he is a guy that absolutely delivers really every single week. We talked about that a lot over the last few years, right? Runs well and just delivers you great finishes. But road courses, Coda, the one race we've had this season, right? 4th place finish, lead 6 laps after starting 12th, $9,000. It's probably a pretty decent return for you there. Go back to the Roval in the fall, 4th place finish. Had a rough day at Watkins Glen where he finished in 33rd, but even the Chicago Street Course, if you want to toss it in there, a 7th place run there, 5th place at Sonoma, 11th place at Portland, 2nd place at Coda last year. So really, really good runs by Austin Hill the last couple of years on road courses. And if you go back to 2023, if you will, the Roval, 9th place finish there. Watkins Glen, maybe he just struggles there, Rod, 14th place, but 4th at the Indy Road Course, 3rd at Road America, 5th at the Chicago Street Race, 37th at Coda. That was a rough day, but so a few rough days sprinkled in there, but that happens to anybody, right? But overall sense, a lot of top 5, a lot of top 10 finishes that I just read off for you there on the road courses. It's quiet, probably not going to lead a ton of laps. If he gets the track position, he certainly could. But Austin Hill, a guy I didn't want to go anymore this weekend without mentioning, especially because he is a very good road course racer.
Yeah, it's tough because Austin Hill, you always think of him in the super speedway sense, and you're always thinking of him in the oval sense. But when you really pay attention to these road course races, like I had said just a second ago too, and like you mentioned, it's just Austin Hill is there at the front of the pack in these road course races, and he gets lost in the Ziliches. He gets lost in even, the Sheldon Creeds a couple of years ago, the Sam Mayers and all those guys that we talked about. It's, definitely, I think a good call. If you can't bet on him, you might as well use DFS on him, which is precisely where I'm going with my next one. I did not cheat up. In fact, I cheated down in my mid-tier driver, and I went closer to the end of what's considered value. Josh Williams. Here's the thing, right? We know that Kaulig is gigantic when it comes to road courses. The 16 car, always a factor when it comes to, we talked about Christian Eckes on the betting episode yesterday in driving that 16 car, learning from AJ Allmendinger. Well, guess who else learns from AJ Allmendinger? And that is Josh Williams. By the way, the 15th place driver at Coda earlier this season in that Kaulig equipment. It's not a bad idea to go after a guy whose team pretty much knows how to road course race and set up a road course car. Josh Williams into that Focus Health 250 over there in Coda. Started 21st, finished 15th, got you 34 points on the day. But even on top of that, right, he got you 57 points at Charlotte. Okay, he lost you points the week before that and the week before that, but 49 points in the North Carolina over there in the North Carolina Lottery 250, and then the week before that, and the SciAps 300, he got you 41 points. He's averaging 23.2 fantasy points per race, which, by the way, at 60 just about $6,000, 6,100. I'd take that, to be honest with you, because I know that the potential for more is there. I know the potential for 35, for 40 points is there for a guy like Josh Williams, and like we said, we're not going to touch him in the betting episode. We're not going to predict a top 10 finish out of him, which we could, I suppose, but that's a little tough given the field. So I'm just happy if he starts again in the 20s or in the high 30s and gets me a nice 15th place finish, because that's the kind of day I would want out of Josh Williams. And I think as a mid-tier driver, if you're going to chase after the Connor Ziliches, if you're going to chase after the Christopher Bells, the Daniel Suarez's, right, you're going to need a lower-end mid-tier driver to help get the balance straight. So a guy like Josh Williams offers plenty of upside for me, and I think would be a great, solid addition to your DFS lineup.
Yeah, I like this. And this is how we balance each other out. I cheat up, you cheat down, balances out. You got to love it. Cousin Danny checking in says, I was going to take a break from betting Austin Hill this week, and now you two just drag me back over to the Hill train. That's what we do. You're welcome. You can thank us later. All right, Rod, going down to the bottom of the board, saving a little bit of money here in the Xfinity series. You look at the bottom of the board, could be a little bit rough. Chris Wright, somehow they let him through customs, Rod. I don't know how he made it through, didn't get flagged as a terrorist, so that's good. Not going to play him. Josh Bilicki, though, a guy that I have my eyes on, 5,600. I never thought the day would come where I'd be this high on Josh Bilicki, but I sort of am, Rod. You go back to COTA earlier this year, starts in 26th, finishes in 22nd. It is just a blue collar. That's a good, solid day for what you want, what you're wanting to get out of a driver this far down on the board at this price and the equipment he's in. You go back to last season, 8th place at the Charlotte Roval, an 8th place finish out of a guy who is $5,600. He's not in any better or worse equipment than he was in last year, because it's always just shitty equipment that he's in. So you don't have to worry about, oh, yes, but now he's in worse equipment, right? Okay. Well, maybe that was a fluke, an 8th place finish. Well, what if he finished 10th place at Watkins Glen, Rod? Holy shit. Pretty solid run, right? What if I told you at Sonoma, 16th place for Josh Bilicki? Oh, my God. What is Josh Bilicki's top 10 numbers? I might need to be betting on that. Did have a rough day last year at COTA with the 31st place finish, but look, he's only $5,600. Like, that's where he should be finishing. But if you go back and you look at 2023 at his results, 25th at the Roval, it's not bad. 25th at Watkins Glen, 18th at Indy Road Course, 8th place at Road America. Look at the upside that Josh hold on. Look at the upside that Josh Bilicki brings to you, Rod. We're just going to clip that, and I just want to play it later because I want to bring that up. I want to just set a calendar reminder and play that in 3 months and be like, any idea what Cody was talking about at this point in time? But it keeps going. 2022, right? 17th at Watkins Glen, 13th at Road America. He is actually a pretty solid road course guy. And really a lot of these seasons, that's all he's been doing is running in on the road course races. So I guess if you want to call him a bit of a road course ringer, that's what he is. But love me some Josh Bilicki this week at 5,600. I'll let you talk while I go look up his top 10 number, Rob.
Cody's about to drain all of his bank account into a Josh Bilicki top 10 finish. And while I try to save him money, I'll try to save you money as well. Ryan Ellis down there. That's the guy that if you go look at his Twitter, it's hilarious because he just put out a tweet of the runway and he was like, well, haven't had any sleep. Don't know where my luggage is, but hey, we're in Mexico. So hopefully he brings that same energy to the track with him. $5,300 for Ryan Ellis in that 71 DGM racing machine. Here's the thing, right? He's averaging you about 23.3 fantasy points per race, but last week popped up, finished 9th at Charlotte. What the hell was that? We don't know. It doesn't matter. He started 30th, finished 9th. Pretty sure that's not really where we're going to be, but COTA. He got you 45 points at COTA. Started 34th, finished 16th for Ryan Ellis. Probably one of the better DFS days that you'll ever get out of a guy like Ryan Ellis. But here's the thing. I truly believe that this 71 car is not nearly as bad as people are giving him really, I guess, no credit for, I suppose. He's gotten you a couple of 31-point days, a 45-point day, like I said, at COTA, 33 at Atlanta, 20 at Daytona. He got you 23 points over there with the Sports Clips haircut to VFW Help a Hero 200. Like I said, he's just giving you nice, solid DFS days for the prices. Very rarely has he lost you any points. Overall, road course racer in Xfinity, he's got 24 starts. He doesn't have any top 10 finishes. His average start, 31.4, average finish of 26.9. But that tells me he's not losing you too many spots, right? You look at Watkins Glen, his average start there, 36th, his average finish, 24th. Look at Sonoma, his average start, 34th, his average finish, 26th. At Portland, his average start, 25th, his average finish, 17th. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So, like I said, Elkhart Lake even, he holds steady at 28th. But to me, that just shows me that he is a guy who he's probably going to start in the back, and he's going to move you up and get you some positional points. And who knows? Crazy stuff could happen. The top 15 cars could take themselves all out, and he's sitting there in 10th place, and you're having yourself a great, fantastic DFS day. So, Ryan Ellis, my low-price driver at $5,300.
Yeah, I like it. Good week to try and save money with some of these cheap guys as you try to plug in the guys at the top of the board. The guys we highlighted along with the other Cup guys that are in this field. So, these are a couple of, good options near the bottom that aren't just pick a low-tier guy, actually have some research and have a reason to maybe take some of these guys. And upside that guys like Bilicki, oh my God, the upside is crazy, Rod. And of course, Ellis as well. 10-1, by the way, for Bilicki top 10. I was hoping it was a little bigger, but it's probably going to end up with a little bit of sprinkle for myself.
Feels like it should be bigger, but look, here's the thing. I mean, this is why we love the DFS.
Not the first time I've heard that.
This is why we love the DFS episode so much, is we get to talk about drivers that we don't normally get to talk about when we're talking about betting, because it's just hard to bet a Josh Williams. It's hard to bet a Ryan Ellis. Well, maybe not hard to bet a Josh Bilicki, but yeah. Absolutely love it. All right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our DFS plays for this Chingalo 250. Cody started you off with Connor Zilic as his high-price driver at $11,000. I said Justin Allgaier at $9,700 was my high-price driver. Cody gave you Austin Hill at $9,000 as his mid-tier driver. I said Josh Williams at $6,100 was my mid-tier driver. Cody gave you Josh Bilicki with the full endorsement at $5,600 as his low-price driver, and I gave you Ryan Ellis, $5,300 as my low-price driver. Cody, it's time to turn our attention over to the Cup Series, where we will do so and give you all of our favorite fantasy plays in just a minute. But first, let me tell you about my friends over at Underdog Fantasy. It's time for my Underdog Fantasy bonus pick'em. Run, don't walk. The F1 projections are out. Isaac Hadjar still at a top 10 finish. 10.5 is his projection. Take the better than, run, thank me later. He's just been a points machine. He's going to continue to do that all season long. So give me Isaac Hadjar better than 10.5 in this Canadian Grand Prix. Underdogs go along for the NBA Finals with their extender bonus hop in game 1. And the longer the series goes, the bigger the bonus gets. Sign up in the meantime with the promo code RACESGPN. Claim that special pick and first-time deposit offer to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code RACESGPN. You have heard us talk about Rhythm time and time again. They just dropped a game-changing feature called Power Trends. These are AI-detected patterns where Rhythm's model has consistently won and has a high ROI. Think a strikeout prop that wins 59% of the time when the line and win probability hit a certain range. Power Trends are updated daily and exclusive to Rhythms. No touts, no noise, just clean, data-backed bets. Download the Rhythm app, check out Power Trends, and start betting smarter. You know that we will be. Get your 7-day free trial today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Friends over at mybookie.ag are always open for you because we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. You got easy deposit, lightning fast payout using cryptocurrency. Canadian Football League season well underway. Week 2 already kicked off. Tonight, though, the Ottawa Red Blacks are hosting the Montreal Alouettes, and they are 4-point underdogs, are the home Red Blacks. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take Ottawa +4, -110. Call it my bleeding love for the Ottawa Red Blacks or just my naivete because I am blind to all the bad stuff that goes on. But Ottawa Red Blacks will win at home like they did all last season, and they're going to beat the Montreal Alouettes. And it doesn't matter because they'll cover this spread at +4, at -110, +4. You could take the money line too at +150 if you really want to, and have some fun over there on mybookie.ag. Promo code SGPN. You're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag. Promo code SGPN. Yes, sir. One of these days, I'm going to make it out to a Canadian football game, and it will be a glorious day when I do.
Yes, it sounds like a good time, Rod. I've got some updates. The first practice session is done. So looking at the leaderboard, if you're looking for, well, where did it go? There it is. Okay. Single lap times, Michael McDowell with the fastest time so far. Chase Briscoe, Tyrone Gibbs, Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, SVG, Todd Gilliland. Take a look at the bottom of the board, Rod. Kathrine Legge, 3.891 seconds behind the leader. Ryan Truex next on the board. So don't say we didn't tell you that, but we did. And then for 5 lap averages is the only thing I've seen just at least posted quickly here. Thanks to Jeff Gluck. SVG leads the 5 lap average. McDowell, Gibbs, Bell, Larson, and Elliott at the top of the board for 5 lap averages. So first practice session, got another one here later today, but pay attention to practice more so this week than any other week for sure. Longer practices and obviously a lot to learn here. So
indeed.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, it just makes me even happier with my DFS picks because there is going to be a lot of upside for one of my specific picks, and I'm okay with that. And I'll take the risk in putting this one in my lineup, but only because I also have to appease the fans, which we did with the betting episode on Wednesday rather. So yeah, if you're into that one, go listen to that as well and have yourself a good time. All right, it is the Viva Mexico 250 at the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez in Mexico City, set for 100 laps around this 2.420 mile road course for 242 miles. No surprises in the Cup Series as far as entries are concerned. There are some heavy favorites.
Whoa. There's one great surprise, Rod. Former NASCAR, or not NASCAR, sorry, former, whatever the name of the track is. You say it better than I do. I'm not even going to try. Winner, Kathrine Legge, is in the field as an open car, Rod, and the number 78 for BJ McLeod and Live Fast Motorsports.
That's true. Although we've highly documented that already, so it's really not a surprise at this point anymore.
I didn't want anybody to forget about her because it's important.
Indeed. All right. Well, then, as we're going to do it same as we did before. High price driver, mid-tier driver, low price driver. Cody, who are we starting out with as your high price driver?
Yeah, well, I had this pick in here before the first practice there, but SVG, top of the board, 10,500. It's very similar to the Connor Zilic play I just talked about a few minutes ago in the Xfinity side of things, right? I think that it's hard to bet on SVG to win this race because there's so many things that go into it. He's such a heavy favorite. I don't feel comfortable with that. You look at what he's done on the road courses, and it's been good. That's why I'm about to give him out as a play here. But he doesn't have any wins outside of that very first race at Chicago. Nobody had done a street course, all this stuff. So advantages that he has here is nobody's been here, right? So it's not nobody's been here. It's a street course level that's completely different. We've still raced on road courses before, but nobody's been here. So even playing field there. He's obviously one of the most experienced road course, street course racers in the field. So you got to give him that. They have had races like this circled because, look, he didn't even make the top 32 seeding for the tournament, the in-season tournament that's coming up, because that's how bad they are on points. This is what you sign him for, races like this. He is going to be the most popular DFS play potentially of the entire season this weekend. So here's your disclaimer on that. Very, very chalky. If he hits, you're going to want to have him. If he doesn't hit, have some lineups without him. But you go back to Coda. He started in 6th place in that race, led 23 of the 95 laps. That's a solid, strong day. Not a ton of laps led to be had, right? But a 6th place finish for him there. So take that. Obviously, I just mentioned that he's been the fastest in 5 lap averages for that first practice. So you like that. Go back to the Roval. Starts on the pole. All right, here we go, Rod. It's an SVG day. Leads 21 laps. Finishes in 7th. That's the difference in. That's still a strong DFS day. He leads 21 of 109 laps. You like that part of it. Finishes 7th, though. That's not cashing your to-win bet. Watkins Glen only led 1 lap, but he ran a lot of the race in 2nd place in that one. But starts in 3rd place. Finishes in 2nd, Rod. He didn't win again. See, this is the difference. Once again, I just want to keep pointing that out and why that's important. He is going to be chalky. If he has a day like Chicago Street Course, he starts at 5th, finishes in 40th. That's going to kill your day. That's why you got to have some nod on him. Last year, Coda wasn't a great day. It starts in 12th and finishes in 20th. So I guess while I'm giving him out as a play, I also want to make sure that you know the risks that go with this and why. I guess good PSA for why he's not just a complete plug and play, everything everywhere. You got to have him. So I am taking him, and I want to highlight and talk about him because I think that he can be a great play, and I think he's going to be a play that you might need to have based on how much roster percentage he's going to have. And then if you go look at the Xfinity Series last year, that's where we really saw what he can do, right? And maybe why it's a little surprising that he's not in the Xfinity Series this week, or we haven't seen him yet, but he ran extremely good in the Xfinity Series last year. Led 20 laps at Coda, although he didn't have a good finish there, but then tore it up. Chicago Street Course, obviously he wins that, leading 14 laps, and he also won at Sonoma where he led 32 laps. He won at Portland where he led 12 laps. So strong, third at the Roval, led a few laps there as well, fifth at Watkins Glen. So strong seasons and performances from him there. We know he's a great road course racer. Obviously, all that's documented. So he is my high tier play, right, at 10,500, but it comes with a big warning label on it, Rod.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be people out there that are like, lock him in. Wow, you got it heavy. But, I mean, we always preach a little bit of caution in this show, too. Don't follow the folks that are telling you just don't even look back and lock it in, except when we tell you to do that. Then, of course, for sure do that. But if anyone else tells you that, proceed with caution. But I do like this. I like it a lot. I also like his former teammate from last year, AJ Allmendinger. Brought him up on the betting episode as well. Look, AJ Allmendinger, prolific road course racer, actually has won races up in Mexico City before. Not on this track, obviously, but in his career, he does have wins in Mexico City. How has he done on road courses? Well, I mean, he's just the most prolific Xfinity road course racer in history. 33 road course races. He has won a third of those races. 11 wins in 33 starts for AJ Allmendinger. Nobody as dominant in the road course world as him. 26 top fives, 29 top tens. His average finish in the Xfinity Series on road courses, 5.8. 33 starts, 5.8 average. That's fantastic. Now, hasn't really been all that prolific in the Cup Series world, however, still respectable. 42nd in road course, or 42 road course starts, 3 wins, 9 top fives, 22 top tens. So at least he's about halfway there on top 10 finishes. His average finish here, 15.6 in road course races, average start of 11.4. So for me, though, this is just with all things being equal and people trying to figure out this brand new track. If you are a driver who is more comfortable with road course racing, you will adapt quicker than those who aren't necessarily. And okay, I get it now that this isn't the back in the day where you only had 2 road course races and nobody really paid attention. And sometimes you would just throw a ringer in there anyways and put a guy that knew how to do it, and you could sit there for the weekend, drink beer, and watch someone drive your car. That's not these days anymore. Everybody's done road course racing and whatnot. But again, there is still some level of comfortability you have to have with road course racing. And for AJ Allmendinger, that's documented. That's clear. You see that every time he steps out on there. So I think for him at $9,300, when you've got the guys chasing the more expensive guys, when you got the SVGs of the world at 10.5, when you've got Christopher Bell at 10.2, Larson at 10,000, like AJ Allmendinger's tucked down here in an area he shouldn't be. And that's fine. That's where we jump on it and really get value out of his $9,300 salary.
Yeah, absolutely. I love AJ this week. You beat me to him once again, just like you did in the betting episode. But I absolutely love playing him this week. And we talked about the experience that SVG has and how all that's great. AJ is more experienced than SVG is. And in these cars in particular, if you don't know, former IndyCar / kart driver, he's done all of that stuff. McDowell also top of the charts early, right? He was also a former IndyCar driver, if you didn't know. But yeah, that I think experience and versatility plus very in shape guy, right? We're at elevation here, all of that as well. I think makes him a great play this week.
I am so glad you do, because I love me my spirit driver of AJ Allmendinger. All right, let's take a step down, save some folks some money. Cody, who we going with?
My favorite driver to be on this week, Rod, Christopher Buescher, Prosper, Texas's own, $8,400. What are we doing, Rod? Do they not know in 16 next-gen starts, he has the best average finish, 7.9. Only twice has he not finished in those 16 races inside of the top 10 and 11th, and a horrible 17th place finish. Those are the only two finishes outside of the top 10. Consistency is what you get from him. Well, yeah, but what can he really do on a road course, right? Well, remember that SVG guy we just talked about? Out-dueled him. He out-wheeled him at Watkins Glen last year, took it to him, got the win there. So he can get these great finishes. He can also lead laps. He can also beat some of the best out there, which you love to see. And it really, this goes back farther. So I was digging through the Buescher stuff as I was writing him up in the article this week. If you go back, he has 35 career starts in the Cup Series on road courses. His first two road course races were horrible. He finished really bad. So if you just look at the last 33, 21st is his worst start in 33 road course starts in the Cup Series. It's crazy how good he is and how consistent he is and how few days, clearly 33 times inside of the top 20 or top 21 that he has had not bad days for you, which you need in DFS as well. So he's got the upside of outdueling an SVG to win, like we've seen. And he's been great and consistent for years and years and years. A lot of top 10 finishes, 14 of 16 on the road courses in the Cup Series. And then you add that in, of course, with the ability to win, coming off of a great run last week, right? A second place finish at Michigan. Maybe if they'd unleashed him a little sooner with the fuel deal, he might have caught Denny and been the winner. He's going to be hungry this week, and I'm expecting, obviously, I car lifted him on the betting episode, but expecting a huge week from Buescher, and I think he's going to pay off for you.
Yeah, I think I said that I agreed with you on that one. Although I will say that in DFS, it makes me feel far more comfortable because there is a lot of leeway.
Danny just setting me up here. Buescher's bad road course finishes came at Indy and Charlotte. Any similarity between those and here's? Actually, the similarity between the two of those is they're both Roval-ish, right? Indy not as much it uses like the front stretch, but yeah, Charlotte, you mentioned it in the Cup Series betting episode, you weren't even looking at the Roval because you think it's so different because it's half oval, half road course, and Indy kind of plays with the oval as well. So, yeah, I would say that Charlotte specifically, the farthest comparison outside of Chicago, which I didn't include in my stats, when it comes to road course, street course stuff. So that actually makes the Buescher case even stronger.
Well, and I mean, if you really wanted to compare Indy and this one, I would just say that the long backstretch or the long stretch that they have of straightaway on this track is probably the closest thing you can get to the Indy course. But even still, these little hybrids, I'm not counting them because they're not really true road course races. I mean, you do, like you said, have that banked turn in Charlotte, and that gives you passing opportunity, and it gives you the traction that you're used to in an oval. You're not going to get that on this track. So, you'll get a long straightaway, but you're not going to get anything else on top of that. So, all right, for my my mid-tier driver, rather, I'm going to take Ryan Blaney again, $7,200. I keep coming back to this guy because he's just so fast every single week. $7,200 seems like it's a misprice. It seems like it should not be at this for Ryan Blaney, one of the more dominant guys in the series. However, unfortunately, it's just been bad luck after bad luck for Ryan Blaney, and so he is mired down here in $7,200 range. He's averaging 38.5 fantasy points per race. He lost you 6 points last week, got you 119 the week before that, lost you 14 before that, 25, 52, 69, lost 28, 71, 66, 56. It's just a ridiculous roller coaster ride. He did get you 30 points at Coda earlier in the season. He started 25th in that race and finished 19th. But what I need out of Ryan Blaney, okay, it's $7,200. If you look at his road course racer in the Cup Series, he's got 35 road course starts. He's won 1, 5 top 5s, 15 top 10 finishes. His average finish here, 14.7. We'll go ahead and round that into a 15th place finish. If he gets 15th place for us, that is 28 points in this, not counting fast laps, not counting if he accidentally leads any laps. So what I want is a floor of about 28 points out of Ryan Blaney, which is his average road course finish going through. Well, what has he done on some of these tracks at Road America? He's got an 11th place finish after a 19th place start in 2022. He did finish 20th after starting 17th in 2021. Sonoma, though, right? 7th place finish last year after starting 3rd. Bad day in 2023 where he finished 23rd or 31st rather, but 6th place in 2022. 14th place start there. 10th place finish in 2021 after an 11th place start. 3rd place finish in 2019. So again, he's been able to do it on these road courses. Watkins Glen last year, tough. We cashed out on that one. 38th place there, but 9th place the year before. He does have a 14th place finish in 2021, 5th place in 2019, 12th place in 2018, 8th place in 2017. What did I say? I wanted a 15th place finish out of him. He's been able to do that several times over on road courses. I don't want him to win. Of course, it'd be great if he won, but I don't need him to win. Let's put it that way. All I need is a nice, solid, middle-of-the-pack finish, hopefully starting somewhere in the mid-20s or even still. But even if he doesn't, like a 28th place floor or 28-point floor is what I'm expecting out of Ryan Blaney. Hope I get it, especially for $7,200. I like the value in that.
Yeah, it's hard to argue too much. Obviously, the biggest thing against him is the inconsistency lately and the bad luck. It's not that they've been inconsistent. They've been great just about every week, but bad luck and things getting caught up on him. Probably going to scare a lot of people away from playing him. Not typically known as a road course guy. Does have a Roval win, Rod, if you want to count that. But he's definitely a guy that I think could be a bit of a sleeper pick and set you apart a little bit, which I like.
Indeed. All right, well then, let's save the ultimate amount of money and dip down to our low-tier drivers for this. Cody, who are we going with?
Let's do it. We're going back to the John Hunter Nemechek well, $5,200. He's a guy we've talked about a lot this year, obviously, but he's been having a great season, and that's why we continue to talk about it. He's been running really well all year. 22nd place at Circuit of the Americas. Not the greatest day ever, but he did start 33rd, so got you a little bit of place differential. Got you a solid enough finish. Again, for this price of a driver, kind of what you're looking for. Rough day at the Roval last year. 21st at Watkins Glen, though. Again, just a decent enough run. You'll take it. 29th at Sonoma, you'd hope for maybe a little bit better. But 21st at Coda, had a good run there. Also in the Cup Series here. And then if you go back to before that, you got to go back to the Xfinity Series because that's where he was at. And he ran pretty well in the Xfinity Series. 8th place at the Roval in 2023 there. 13th at the Indy Road Course. Had a rough day at Road America, but strong day at Coda. So some good runs by John Hunter Nemechek. It's not all been great from him, but the 22nd place at Coda, that's really what I'm looking at. The way this team's been running this year, how they're kind of clicking on all cylinders. He's had a couple of rough weeks here. Rough day at Michigan, right? Got wrecked out there. And same thing at the Coke 600 after having that speed and starting 6th. Just didn't quite follow through. But the rest of his weeks lately have been pretty strong, been pretty good. This is a team that we continue to highlight. John Hunter Nemechek, a guy that I think, for being, that's the thing too, is he's a little cheaper this week than normal. You go down to the bottom, it's Kathrine Legge, Cody Ware, not super interested. Ty Dillon always interests me, Rod. I made the case for Riley Herbst as kind of an upside on the betting episode, but Stenhouse, Custer, they don't do much for me. Eric Jones, Josh Berry, kind of struggling around in this area, but John Hunter Nemechek, cheaper than most of those people, $5,200. Really, the only people cheaper than him is Legge, Ware, and Dillon. So the 4th cheapest guy on the board. I think there's some upside there.
You had me at Legacy Motor Club, my friend. I'm always on board for anything Jimmy Johnson related, so I'll take either one of those guys. I did give
when you said you had me at I didn't think that's where we were going, Rod.
Well, no, and I'll get there in a second, but I did give a long, hard look to Eric Jones. I figured we've talked about them so much that at this point, I think they're ingrained in you. So I like both of them. And
you don't want to talk about people we've already talked about a lot, Rod?
No, it's
weird.
It's too late because we can't necessarily take that all back, but that's all right. All right, ready? I gave the leg lift to the people on the earlier episode of the betting episode. And now I unveil my low price driver at $4,800, the one, the only British phenomenon, Kathrine Legge, in that 78 Jordan Anderson car. Live fast, live strong, drive fast. Here's the deal. Actually, she's $4,800, right? And this is where I'm just, she's going to start in the back of the pack, right?
Why is she going to start in the back, Rod?
Because this didn't qualify well, right? I mean, this is not a fast car. But I will tell you this. She's made one Cup Series start this season. She finished in 30th place, still got you 19 points on the day. That is after she crashed out of the race early in an altercation with young Daniel Suarez. So for me, here's the thing. She starts in the back, fantastic, right? What is it? Ryan Truex is the only other person that's not faster than her or something right now.
And he's 2 seconds faster than her. So.
And I don't really care because there are going to be people that are crashing out of this race left and right, in my opinion. And if Kathrine Legge can just stay out of the way, if she can keep the fenders if she doesn't even need to keep all the fenders on the car, just don't finish last, right? Finish somewhere in the 30s. You're going to get 20 points. You're going to get 25 points. You're going to get something in that range where you're going to make a $4,800 price tag worth it. If she just gets you 20 points, that's more than 4 times what you're paying in for her, right? And that is going to give you the opportunity to load up on a couple of high price guys. Because what do we say, Cody? What do we say? These people that are all the way in the back, they can hardly ever lose you any points. The very last place car, in this instance, right, were 39 cars deep, 38. How many cars? 36.
37.
37 cars. Get you 4 points. So they can't lose you points. At the very least, they'll get you 4 points, which, you want more, obviously. But still, you start in the back, you finish 30th. That's what I'm expecting. I'm not expecting her to go out and lead 105 laps of 100. I just want somebody to not lose me points while I start to put all of these big guys up at the top of the list, right? Cousin Danny's getting crazy.
Yeah. Oh, you can see the comments again?
I'm looking at I have it on what do you call it?
Here.
Yeah.
Unironically, a great DFS play. And and I have to agree with Cousin Danny here. Honestly, she might actually be a good play. She likes to qualify badly and might avoid some chaos in the back, gain a lot of position, can hold because she can drive. That's the thing. So we've kind of poked some fun at her. It's been a big thing in the Discord this week. If you're not over there, get over there, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Jump in the NASCAR channel. You kind of catch up on the stuff over there. But she's 3 seconds, almost 4 seconds. It's like 3.8 seconds off the pace in the first practice. This car is just slow. That being said, she is a great driver. She's got IMSA experience. She's got IndyCar experience. She has been around a long time. She's done a lot of stuff. She is a great driver. The car is not going to do her any favors. It's a long track, 14 turns, right? She's probably not going to get lapped. And if she does, we're not going to have very few candidates for lucky dogs. She's just going to hang out at the back all day. There's going to be attrition. You made the point. She can't lose you points. At only $4,800, she is a good play. And you're very right about that as far as there's probably not massive upside there, although if we get some crazy stuff at the end of these races, which we've seen before, she could be a stellar play when it comes to DFS. But she's not a bad play almost no matter what. Even if she starts dead last and finishes dead last, you're not losing. You're actually still going to gain points like you made the point for. So it's hard to argue that she actually really, and there are some scenarios, she could be a really, really great play this weekend.
A GPP play if ever there was one, because, I mean, look, she's better than somebody that will start in the middle and is going to wreck out and lose you a ton of points, right? Yeah. I mean, somebody starts in the front.
Even your cash games, because she's not going to lose you points. You're guaranteed that base. Now, this is assuming she starts last. They've not qualified yet. If she qualifies better than 30th, I wouldn't play her because that's where it's going to get scary. But this is assuming she'll start 37th. She's probably somewhere in the 34th to 37th range, and that's if somebody messes up or isn't able to qualify. But assuming she does, she's got such a high floor because she's not going to lose you stuff. And you save the most amount of money to be able to reinvest that, obviously, in higher drivers. So Yeah, I got to agree with you, Rod. I think that our cover girl, if you will, although she's sponsored by Elf, not cover girl, but that's okay. I think that she is a good play this week at 4,800.
Cousin Danny, clip that. Go ahead and just play that over and over, all in your yeah, because that's, you heard Cody say she's a good play, and she's won here on this track, or not on this track, but she's won in Mexico City.
Most importantly, she's won. Yeah, what was on this track? Just it was on this circuit, not this layout. I guess is how you want to put it.
Yeah. So, but that goes a long way in knowing and familiarity and all the other good stuff too. So.
But it is a good point too. Like, we've sort of poked some fun and joked throughout this episode and throughout the week about it, but honestly, when you break it down and you look at it, she is a decent play and has a lot of upside if things go crazy in this race.
I agree, which is why I'm very wholeheartedly endorsing her for the DFS play. Probably my favorite of the entire slate. So, did Danny?
You think your favorite? Cousin Danny's sorry, changing my pants. BRB.
This is rare though, because everybody knows in the Discord that we are definitely on the opposite side of a lot of opinions half the time. So the fact that Cousin Danny and I can come together on this one probably makes the world happy. So, all right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our favorite DFS plays for this Viva Mexico 250. Cody started you out with SVG as his high price driver, $10,500. I said AJ Allmendinger, $9,300 was mine. Cody said Chris Buescher, $8,400 was his mid-tier driver. I said Ryan Blaney, $7,200 was mine. Cody gave you John Hunter Nemechek at $5,200 as his low price driver. And I said Kathrine Legge, $4,800 will be the GPP winningest ever in the entire history of DFS for this slate. Just kidding. It's not really how it's going to be, but imagine if it really is.
That, our Discord will be absolutely insane if that ends up being the case, right? It will potentially break Discord.
I think it would definitely break Discord, but all right, Cody. Well, we made it to the end of the week, buddy. It's been one, and we've made it here. I'm so glad that all that's left now is to actually watch this race play out and have a good time enjoying the festivities from Mexico City.
Yeah, absolutely. Another practice session coming up here on Prime in just a little bit, so make sure you check that out and enjoy it, right? Enjoy Mexico City, a new track, something new. It's always fun when there's new things. I think this is the first time they've raced for points outside of the U.S. since 1958 in the Cup Series, which is pretty crazy. First time we've seen international Cup Series stuff since 98 when they had the exhibitions in Japan. So that is a bit of a big accomplishment as well. So it's great to see our sport that we love continue to grow, reach bigger, farther. That stuff is always great. So you love it. All right, Rod, good luck to everybody this weekend. Follow me over on the X at Husker_Z. You can find all of my stuff over there. Been a lot of stuff this week. It's going to just continue to roll as it always does. If you haven't subscribed over on the YouTube, we got 1,000 over there, but want to keep growing it. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. It continues to help us out and show the bosses that should keep us around, which is would be ideal, I guess. So adios, amigos. We'll see you next week.
Whoa, did you Duolingo that while we were gone yesterday? Good for you, Cody. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it is the back road. Seth, Elliott, and I breaking down Mexico City for you yesterday, which is up on their channel right now. And, of course, all my fun stuff, all my fun little projects that I got going on, and, just various other stuff. All right, like Cody said, enjoy the weekend, everybody. Adios and goodbye. We'll see you back again next week. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.